Welcome to Good News Heroes on U-Nite Radio. I'm Jenna. Thanks for tuning in. What announcement did Eric Liddell make in the last episode? He announced he was going to be a missionary to China. How would God use Eric in China? Let's find out. Ooh, slug bug!
Hey! Not fair.
So fair. I saw the car first. Those are the rules.
Well, I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't have a chance.
That's not my problem.
But Piper, it's Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. I was thinking about that, so I have a good excuse.
Were you really?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll take my slug bug back.
Care to share what you were thinking about, Logan?
Well, I was just thinking about a talk I had with Mom, and about Eric Liddell.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So at kids' church, Miss Vicky always asks us what we learned today that can help us know God better, because knowing God better helps us to grow closer to Him. And I was just thinking, I don't think Eric only said no to running in the Olympics on Sunday just because it was Sunday.
What do you mean?
Well, Eric loved God most, and when people love God most, they want Him to have control of their life. So if Eric had disobeyed God, then that would have showed that he didn't trust God to have control of his life. And if Eric was going to be a missionary to China, he really had to trust God to have control.
That's a great thought, Logan.
Oh, and if the press people were going to tell him to stay, he would need God's help to say no to them.
Oh yeah, how did the press react to Eric's choice?
Many of them were surprised, but overall, the press and all of Scotland supported Eric.
Really? That's surprising.
Yeah, I thought they'd be mad at him. But maybe they saw how much Eric loved God and figured they should support him.
That's likely. But anyhow, Eric's announcement didn't change anything about his popularity. Eric was still invited to give speeches, run races, and an official Eric Liddell fan club was created. God used all of this to help prepare Eric for China. Eric knew that China was different than how he remembered it. Eric learned from his family's letters that China was still recovering from World War I, or the Great War as they called it back then.
Why did they call it the Great War?
Well, because they didn't know that the whole world would be at war a second time. Eric was a teenager when the First World War ended in 1918, and what we know now as World War II wouldn't start until 1939. Years later, historians started calling these wars World War I and World War II.
Oh, that makes sense. So, when did he go to China?
Eric was scheduled to leave July 13th, 1925. He had gotten a job as a teacher at a school called the Anglo-Chinese College, a school for Chinese boys that was run by missionaries. Finally, the day came for Eric to leave for China, and he was in for a big surprise.
What's all this?
We've come to give you a proper send-off.
You arranged a horse-drawn carriage and a parade just to take me to the train station?
That's not just any carriage. Look who's pulling it.
Go, Eric! Eric! There's our hero.
Hi, Eric. Our friends?
They had to fight each other for the honor of pulling Scotland's Olympian to the station.
Wow. I'm truly humbled. Thank you all.
Well, let's not waste time. God wants you in China.
Lads, I can't begin to thank you for all you've done. You've been the best of friends. I hope to see you again soon.
Speech! One last speech, please!
Let our motto be, Christ for the world needs Christ.
Eric! Eric!
Robert, Mom, Dad.
My sweet boy, it's been too long.
There's my boy.
It's good to be home. I've missed China so much. It feels like I never left, and yet so much has changed.
It doesn't seem that long ago that you and Rob were just two young Scottish lads in Chinese clothes running around our village. But indeed, much has changed since you've been gone.
And so is our family. Rob, where's this lovely wife of yours?
She's at home getting dinner ready for your arrival. She insisted she take over, so we could all be here to meet you at the station.
That's very kind of her. I can't wait to see her.
Well, let's get going then. Here, Eric, let us help you with your things. Oh, my goodness! Did you bring back your heaviest medals and trophies, Eric? I can barely carry this thing.
I sure hope you brought some. I want to see them. Did you bring your gold medal from the Olympics? Oh, Eric, you'll have to tell us everything. It's not the same reading about it in a letter or in the newspaper.
I did bring my Olympic medal, yes. And I promise I'll tell you all about it. But I left many of them in Scotland. You must be carrying my case of books, Rob. If I'm going to be a good teacher, I must do my best to be well prepared.
Oh, yeah, Eric, about that.
I don't like that look on your face. Is something wrong?
Well, I'm afraid you won't have any students to teach.
What? But the Anglo-Chinese College is one of the best schools in all of China. How could enrollment have dropped so badly?
It isn't enrollment that's the problem. All the students have gone on strike.
Strike? Over what?
Do you remember from our letters what we've been telling you about the fighting in our area?
A little. But there's so much information it all jumbles together.
I understand. China is not the same place from our childhood.
Indeed. I'm afraid you're returning to a very different China, Eric. When you were a boy, China was far more welcoming to foreigners. But the fighting has broken that relationship. After the Great War, China felt betrayed by the countries they fought alongside.
Betrayed? How?
Well, as you know, other countries like Great Britain have taken over parts of China. And after the war, China wanted to govern itself and asked the British rulers to leave. They thought it was fair since they fought with Great Britain during the war. But that didn't happen. China has grown angrier towards foreigners ever since. We may be in danger.
Is that why there's a strike? Because the college is taught by foreigners?
Well, that's part of it, but a few months ago, there was a horrible incident that made things worse. A group of Chinese students were protesting in one of the areas Britain rules in. Things went terribly wrong, and the British colonial forces fired their guns at the protesters. Many were injured. Some were even killed.
Oh no. That's terrible.
It was. After that, students all over China began striking. Our Anglo-Chinese college became a target. Our students have been made to feel ashamed of themselves for going to a school taught by foreigners. Eventually, students stopped coming to class. Since there were no students, the school had to close early for the year.
So, what does this mean for the next school year? I was scheduled to begin teaching.
The school staff will meet soon to discuss it. They're all staying in the same town as we are, so you'll get to meet them soon.
Well, I look forward to meeting them.
I'm sorry, Eric. I don't mean to ruin your arrival.
No, it's all right. I knew China had changed since I was a boy. But this is where God has called me and our family. We'll have to keep trusting God to help us. China needs the good news of Jesus now more than ever.
Eric can't teach if he doesn't have any students. What is he gonna do?
Wait! We're here! Can we talk about this later? It's time for church.
Yeah, of course. Let's head in.
Will Eric have students to teach at the mission school? Will the fighting in China get worse? Tune in next time to Good News Heroes to find out. While you're waiting, check out our videos on U-Nite TV. Check out the description for more details. Bye!